Hey guys, it's Owen, and I wanted to just give you kind of a quick cancer update. The last time I updated you was about my cancer scans in January that showed little to no metabolic activity in my tumors. Not only that, but when I started this journey into cancer, when I got my first diagnosis, they had 9 tumors. And today, or in January, we were really only looking at 1. She said that the other tumors were they're so small and they're so not metabolically active that we can't even really tell if that's cancer at this point. So that was all just super wonderful. That began for me like this period of like, oh my gosh, I've done it. I've beat cancer. And I have in a lot of ways. But there's also some things that have happened that have reminded me that I haven't beat it all the way. Let me take you back to April. So this was like 4 months after my scans. And I was snowboarding a lot. We went snowboarding pretty much every weekend in the winter. We got into this place where we got done with our work early. Around 2 o'clock, we would put all the kids in the car, pick up the kids from school. Our snowboards were already in the car. They just sit in there all week. And we'd run up to the mountain. The mountain's only about an hour away, not even 45 minutes away. This was our, routine. So imagine being a guy like me. They tell you, hey, you got 2 years to live. And then I start beating cancer naturally, and I'm snowboarding on the weekends and doing all this like crazy stuff, right? Like, it's incredible. Last day of snowboarding season, the conditions were pretty terrible. Like, the ground was, I think they call it dust and crust. So it was just like icy ground, crunchy, like a snow cone. Not like an iceberg, but like crunchy, And then the snow coming at you was just like little tiny pellets. And it was cold. It was the last day of the season, or at least the last day we were gonna make it out. Like, we're like, okay, after today, we're not coming out anymore. Conditions are changing. And this was end of April. We didn't even get spring, in my opinion, spring conditions, which are really nice. It was kind of slushy. Anyway, I decided that to close out the snowboard season hard, I would practice jumps. And I don't know how to do jumps at all. In fact, jumps scare me. I'm not even totally comfortable with them. But I thought, no, I can conquer anything, right? I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like on top of my game. And so I decided to do these small little jumps. But I don't know the first thing about a jump. I don't know how to approach a jump. I don't know how to position for the landing. So I'm just kind of figuring this out on my own. And I'm kind of going through these small little jumps. My older son's with me and he's really good. So he's like, come this way. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay on the small jumps, small little bumps, right? And I go off one little tiny jump, not even a jump. It's just like a little mound of snow. And, but I go, okay, I'm gonna try this. And I get my legs to go just kind of like, whoop, and I did that. I got off the ground. And as soon as I landed, there was that oh no. And I knew when I landed, I was gonna fall. And this all happened in a split second, you know what I mean? So it's like I landed and then went straight onto this area here. I fell and then tumbled. You know that fall, right when you fall, you're like, crap. You know what I mean? That's exactly what happened. So as soon as I fell, I was like, that's gonna leave a mark. And I tumbled and I got up and I was like, I'm fine. I guess I'm fine. Dusted myself off and continued for the rest of the day. Now, this is where it gets crazy. The next day I woke up with a sore throat and I go, uh-oh, I'm getting sick. So I do my sick stuff, you know what I mean? I started doing great elderberry extract and stuff and just keeping it real mellow, not trying to wear down my immune system. Started to explore my sore throat. Have you ever done that? Have you just sat in silence and listened to your body? And I start moving my head around and I noticed that the more that I sort of stretch, the more I could actually feel the sore throat. And it's like, okay, this isn't a sore throat. That's like a sore muscle in the back of my throat. So I go, let's just watch this. And I'm just thinking this to my head. This is like snowboarding on Friday. On Monday, felt the sore throat. Tuesday was like, let's watch this sore throat. Wednesday, it was like, this is definitely not a sore throat. Thursday, the worst pain I have ever felt since getting shingles. I got shingles once and it was brutal. Woke up crying. This was a close second place. So much pain all throughout here in my body, and it was moving. It changed every day. So I'm taking painkillers. I'm on the couch for 2 days. just like, this is brutal. I slept on the couch for 2 days because it was like only at a couch angle could my back have relief. Went to the chiropractor, got x-rays. He's like, nothing's broken, but it's definitely like you definitely did some damage back there. And so we did a rehabilitation plan. You know what I mean? Just like a little bit more focused chiro. But here's where it gets crazy. We took a sort of last minute vacation to Circus in Las Vegas. And it just so happened to be the trip where I realized that we're too old for Circus now. You know, it was like we used to take the kids there and it's like, you know, we're a little too old for this now. Kids are a little too old for this now. I only say that because I woke up and I realized that I had 2 circles of vision. Like in my eyes, I could see 2 blurry circles. And they weren't even blurry. They were like gray. They were like gray circles. And I couldn't see past them. So if you can imagine, like you're looking out, but there's these like big gray circles that just blur your vision. And so I knew that that wasn't good. And I, at the time, didn't really connect it to the snowboard. So I just decided to watch them, right? And let's just kind of watch these blurry circles and see where they go. If they go away, because my beliefs, they'll go away. I'll fast, I'll eat keto vegan food, I'll get back on my diet and they'll go away. And in the meantime, I started following my plan, right? My listen to God plan, right? Is ask Jesus, watch for circumstances. There's a third step, and then there's a whole process that I'm like, of course I'm on camera, so I forget it's all written on my mirror. Step 4 is get neutral, like check your beliefs, right? The whole belief is that, like, for me, I didn't want to go to an eye doctor because an eye doctor could tell me if there was something wrong. I'd rather just wait for it to go away. But I started telling myself, no, it's not reasonable. Like, you gotta see if these things clear up. Learn about what's going on, right? Watch for circumstances. So I find out that a blurry spot in your eye is called a scotoma, usually caused by inflammation of the optic nerve. Okay, optic nerve, hurt my shoulder, I'm not exactly sure. 2 weeks went by and I go, I'm gonna give myself 1 more week. And if they don't get better noticeably in 1 more week, I'll go to an eye doctor. And so that day I was sitting down and I was reading my Bible for the day. And I'll never forget the verse. Like, it's circled, it's highlighted. I don't have it in front of me right now. In fact, I'm sort of overwhelmed right now. And I knew I needed to make this video to kind of help my body unpack. But I sat down to read my Bible that morning, and the verse that I read was something like, He will guide you and He is your eyes. And I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, go to an eye doctor. I cried a little because when the Spirit of God talks to you so plainly, you have to listen. And I want God to speak to me, tell me what to do. So I decided to call an eye doctor. And for those of you men who out there get it, I don't want to. Doctors are bad news to me. Doctors are the deliverers of bad news. Doctors are also intensely negative, right? Like, you don't go to a doctor to get your hopes up. So that's part of getting neutral, right? Like, if you really want God to lead you, you have to get neutral and realize you don't want to see a doctor and be willing to go if that's what God tells you to do. So I set an appointment with the doctor and they go, well, it's your lucky day. We just had a cancellation and we can get you in on Thursday. So it was like, wow, I thought I'd have to wait another 2 weeks. So they got me in on Thursday and I go to the doctor's office and they took x-rays of my eyes. The doctor there's all these and I have perfect vision, 20/20 vision. The doctor comes in, he goes, it's interesting. He's like, it's interesting that you would have 20/20 vision and still have a problem. He's like, so let's look at your optic nerve and take a look. So he takes a picture of my optic nerve and he's looking at his screen and he immediately he's like, oh no. And he looks at me and he says, that's a brain tumor. So I said, what do you mean it's a brain tumor? He goes, your optic nerve is so inflamed. He's like, the only inflammation I've ever seen like that is from brain tumors. And he says that I'm concerned you have a history of cancer. He says, I need you to go get a CT scan, an MRI on your brain immediately. That's where we're at. And there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot of fears. Here's where I'm at. I don't think it's possible to eat the way I eat and to live the way I live and to beat cancer the way I've beat cancer and to still get cancer growth. I don't believe it's physically possible, because my process for listening to God is this. First of all, if I didn't listen to God and go to that doctor, I wouldn't know about this. And second of all, what am I going to do? Listen to God, pray that God would speak into my life in real time, like actually guide me through my treatment process, and then not listen? Do you think that this doctor doesn't know what he's talking about? I just don't believe those things. So the next step is to go to there's a place called Reyes down the street. We've got to get a brain scan and find out if I have tumors in my brain. And that's my update.